The International School of Portland is celebrating its 35th birthday this year. They are one of only 2 schools in the United States providing 3 full language immersion programs, Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish, all under one roof. Located in downtown Portland, they're also the first school in the Pacific Northwest to adopt the renowned International Baccalaureate Primary Years program. They teach preschool through 5th grade and have an open house this Friday morning, April 24th, where you can find out more. Sign up to attend their open house at internationalschool.org. That's INTL school.org. Hey, Claudia here, host of CityCast Portland. If you're a frequent listener of our show, you already know our mission is simple. We strive to make you more engaged neighbors because we believe that better neighbors make better cities. It really is that simple. And every day we're bringing you the local stories and conversations that help you feel more connected to our city. So when you become a CityCast Portland neighbor, you're investing in that mission. Plus, CityCast Portland neighbors get great benefits like ad-free listening, a weekly email rounding up curated local event picks, invitations to member-only events, and so much more. Sign up today for only $10 a month or $100 a year at membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. And if you sign up during our member drive, you will receive a thank you gift, which is super cute. Thank you for listening. This is CityCast Portland. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking about the closing of a controversial overnight shelter in the Pearl District. We have an update about the CEO of Portland's housing authority, Home Forward, taking extravagant vacations on the public's dime, and why a citywide law enforcement mask ban isn't gaining any traction. Joining me today are Oregonian homelessness and mental health reporter Lillian Mongeau Hughes and Willamette Week's City Hall reporter Sophie Peel. Thanks for hanging out with me this morning, you two. How's it going?
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Were you surprised by your own voice, Sophie? You recoiled in horror.
Yeah, I'm battling something. So if it was like a little tickle.
I thought it sounded great.
I have that sultry deep voice right now, that I totally don't have normally.
I'm sorry, is that what you think that you sound like right now?
Yeah, I sound sultry.
Is this what you think you sound? All right.
Is that? Okay, I have questions.
I know, it's like voice dysmorphia.
When do you employ that voice? On purpose.
Oh, all the time. Specifically with my partner.
Okay. I can't believe I asked for both of you to come back at the same time, but I did. And here we are. Before we jump into the news, I usually ask an opening question so any new listeners can get to know our guests a little better. Like last week, we found out Lillian has never waved at anyone her entire life, like just not once.
It's true. That's a true fact. I have definitely never waved at anyone. I'm glad that was the takeaway from that conversation.
Yeah. This time around, I'm curious what you're most looking forward to doing in Portland this summer. And I ask because we're currently trying to sign up more members into our CityCast Portland Neighbors program. It's something we created for listeners and readers who want to take their passion for this city just a step further by supporting local news that's all about engaging more deeply with life here. Also, take part of a growing community of listeners that meet up throughout the year via events and other meetups. It's only $10 a month or $100 a year. And one of my favorite member events we did last year was at a Pickles game. And making it to at least one Pickles game in their season happens to be one of the things I look forward to the most every summer. So I'm just curious, what that thing is for you two.
So I have 2 elementary age kids, and I spend my summer every week desperately trying to figure out what the camp plan is and how the logistics are different that day. So what I'm looking forward to in the summer is often it being over and school starting again. But I will say that there's this cool app called Schools Out that was created by a Portland mom that is really excellent at helping you figure out what camps to do. So appreciate that about Portland. Go entrepreneurs. And then I do really like, if you can get in, and if you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about, to the Portland Parks and Rec 2 weeks in a row swim programs they have at all the outdoor pools. So every single night you get to like hang out at the pool after work and your kids splash around in the water and you chat with other parents because there's like a million kids there. And that is actually very, very fun. So that is the kind of fun thing I do in my summers now.
That's
You're
great,
welcome.
Lillian. I'm sure there's a lot of moms out there going, yep, well, that's it.
Certainly everyone in my book club.
What about you, Sophie?
Well, I started the really bad habit last summer of like leaving work at 3:30, telling my boss I had like a doctor's appointment or something really important to go to. And then I biked to Duckworth Dock and I jumped in.
I saw you there. I've seen you there. Yeah, I was on a boat and I was with my
Did you say hi?
friend Willie. And I was
She was waving.
I was
Did you
waving.
say hi?
I think so.
What was I doing?
You were swimming. I'm sorry, Sophie. I interrupted your story. Go
No,
on.
it's
Go
okay.
on.
That's pretty much it. I jump in the water and then I swim. Well, the current kind of takes you down. So then you have to like fight 5 minutes to get the 10 feet back to your little like, ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And then I climb up and then I sun myself on the dock for 5 minutes until I'm dry. And then I jump in one more time. And then I swim back to my little ladder. I climb back up. I get dry. And then I redress, put my clothes back on.
This
and
is
then
a
I go find
fascinating
food.
story.
And then I just fall
great.
asleep. It's incredible.
Oh my God. Our summer
That sounds like
plans.
a much better summer
Yeah,
than
it's
I'm
true.
planning.
Yeah,
on.
well, kid-free. What can I say?
I mean, I like the kid part, but yeah.
No, kids sound nice. I'm nothing against children. I would
I
love
didn't take it
one
that way.
at
This
some
is
point.
just
Okay.
a lot more logistics. Kids just bring a lot more
Yeah.
logistics.
I can imagine. Well, I'm just like baseball. Again, help us keep this podcast going by heading to membership.citycast.fm. Currently, we are in the last place of all the CityCast cities in recruiting new members. Sorry.
Oh, come
So-
on, you guys.
I know.
Come
so if
on,
you're-
Portland.
If you're at all able to swing it, we would like to at least beat Seattle. Seriously, if you listen to the show every day, if you get some value out of it and you have like 2 extra latte funds a month, that's all it's going to take to help us keep going. Also, you get a free gift, a felt wool Oxford Portland pennant. It's super cute. There's a picture of it up at membership.citycast.fm when you click on our pod icon. So again, membership.citycast.fm. Please sign up. All right, on to the news. I thought that was a really good pitch.
I do too. I think everyone should sign up.
Thank you. So, I mean, if no one signs up, it's clearly not my fault because I pitched the hell out of that.
You did.
I thought I
You
did a great job.
perfect
Okay.
pitching.
Lillian, you're going to tell us why the city is planning on shutting down a 200-bed overnight shelter in the Pearl, which last I heard, they struggled so hard, the city did, with the community there to open. So it's kind of interesting that they're like, oh yeah, and so we're just going to shut it down now. So what's going on?
Yeah, so Claudia, I wish I could tell you exactly why the city is shutting down this very controversial 200-bed shelter in the Pearl District. That is not entirely clear. Different people have different thoughts and feelings about why this is happening. Just a brief history. This is one of the mayor's 8 new overnight-only shelters that he set up in the past year. It was like immediately met with protest. And I mean, the Pearl District's like a very densely populated area, right? So the protest was very, very loud and involved many voices. And then there were accusations that it's like a wealthy neighborhood and they don't want, we use the word wealthy in one of our headlines, and it is objectively, but anyway, it's a wealthy neighborhood and they just don't it's NIMBYism. But the people who live there are like, look, it's way more than that. We have seen this crisis unfolding in front of us for a long time. We don't think bringing a shelter here would help. We think it'll concentrate the problem. There will be more, outside drug use and more vandalism and that kind of thing. Other shelters in other parts of the city have had, we've documented that has indeed happened, more emergency response needed and stuff like that. It was opened in September over the objections of the neighborhood association and many, many neighbors. And among the other things that have happened since is that they're being sued by the building next door to them on the argument that the existence of the shelter has lowered the property value of the apartment building next door. So the owners of the apartment building next door are the ones who are suing. That news broke a couple weeks ago. And then as the budget stuff is happening at the city and they're not going to have enough money probably to keep open all of the shelters that they have kept open, they announced that this shelter was going to be closing due to budgetary concerns. So the city is sticking to the story that this is a budget thing only. Several city councilors, including Olivia Clark, who represents that area, aren't buying it. They're like, this was a bad idea from the beginning. We've been lobbying them to close it. And we're really glad it's closed. And the neighborhood association is like definitely sure that they're closing it because it was a problem. In fact, do you guys want to hear an exact quote from
Sure,
the
yeah.
neighborhood association guys? He said, and this was like, despite all the concerns he'd had with it, this is a compliment to the city. He said, "This is the first time any government office has really said, this isn't working, let's do something else. Instead of doubling down on failure, somebody in government is making the effort to redirect, and I'm really happy about it." That was Todd Zarnitz, who's with the Northwest Neighborhood Association.
I find that really interesting because when they say it's not working, I don't understand what they mean.
Like what Zarnitz means when he says it's not working?
Yeah, like it's not working for us or it's not working for the population it's trying to serve. Because what I'm hearing from the city is like, well, it's one of the highest costing shelters we have and the beds are not filled. And to me, that means it's not working. But what I'm hearing from the neighborhood association is like, it was creating more issues for the livability of this neighborhood, and that's why it wasn't working. Is that what they meant, or were they also just like, yeah, nobody was coming to the shelter?
No, I think I think both of those things are true,
Okay.
and I don't know that they're necessarily in conflict. Like I think that the shelters, by nature of people leaving every morning really early and then having to come back and line up, like there's some level of disruption to the livability of the area, and then people hang out in those neighborhoods all day. That's happening in North Portland, much less populated, so smaller, like uproar, but they're just as upset about it. Also, the beds are not being used in full anywhere. None of the city-run shelters are full on any given night. There are some that are used more heavily than others, and when it did get cold and wet, they were used more, which is not a huge surprise. But I mean, were they helping the people who were using them is an interesting question, because the city's argument has been, yes, it helps because it is a safe and dry and warm place to sleep at night. And that in and of itself is a service that we are providing, and that is enough. And then there's another argument that says like, yeah, okay, but like it's in the end sort of a pointless service because it's not actually getting anybody housed. These overnight shelters don't have other services or case managers or anyone who's going to actually help you get into housing.
Or addiction programs or any other kind of services like that?
Yeah, so they're all run by different nonprofits. One or two of them do help you with addiction services or like at least connecting to addiction services, but they're not on site and nobody's like living at these places. So
Gotcha.
They're not getting that like stability that you get from staying somewhere permanently and having your own bed in a storage container or whatever.
Yeah. The reason I brought up that thing of like both of these parties saying it's not working and it not being really clear what that meant was because the more and more that I mean, it's been like almost 3 years that I've just been reading the city's struggles with, everything and the reporting around it. It always seems like everyone's right. And that's so frustrating. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if everyone's right, then like, why are we still failing? Then no one's wrong. And like that in itself is just like, that's really interesting to me. Is like, we're all right. So where do we go from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple.
But we're all right. We're all right that it's not working. Like, I wouldn't say that's like it's like,
that's correct.
It's not a net positive.
No, for sure.
I was going to say, there's like a couple wrong answers out there that are floating around. Just like.
Okay, no, I hear that. But I'm just saying that like, it's interesting who highlights what is right, of course, for their own, self-interest.
I think one of the biggest tricks that we're having locally is that the city and county government don't get along and they haven't really agreed on who's doing what. And they've sort of tried to prove to the other one that they're doing it wrong by taking it on themselves. And so you kind of have these two parallel systems. The staff in the two groups, I am told, have done a better job working together recently than not, but the politicians are still having trouble with that. And so that filters down. I mean, it's just like not great. In a lot of places, like to cite Boston, for example, because I've spoken to them about this, like the county, I believe it's Suffolk County, that Boston is in, is just Boston. So like they don't have like the county is running this stuff and the city is running this stuff. They have an office of homelessness, and that is like, it's just one office. So whether you think the city's approach is better or the county's approach is better, like we have two approaches going at once and we are spending money on those two approaches. There's an argument to be made that many city councilors have made that the city maybe shouldn't be doing shelter because that's kind of a human service, and they should be sticking to like finding and accessing like available housing and getting affordable housing like out as much as possible. And then the county should be the one doing the shelter and then working with the city only to send people into housing.
Well, Thank you for this update. It's frustrating to hear that things aren't working on either side. I know this isn't the only shelter set to close. I know there's a 96-bed Centennial neighborhood shelter operated by Sunstone Way is also closing at the end of June. That was another city shelter. So
yeah, that's actually closing in April now, I think. And that's closing because Sunstone Way is dissolving. But I think it's also closing because it wasn't very well used. I heard 20 beds a night were being used for the most part. And then
Sophie almost did a spit take. Yeah.
As the budget details come through for both the city and the county, there will be more shelters closing.
More reckoning, I'm hearing. All right. Well, thank you, Lillian, for breaking down your story. Let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, we have an update to the Home Forward story that Sophie reported on last week. Got leftover paint, stain, or varnish taking up space in your basement or garage? You're not alone. Many of us finish a project and end up with half-used cans we're just not sure what to do with. Don't let them sit there collecting dust, taking up space. Recycle them with Paint Care. Whether it's cans from a recent renovation or years of storage, Paint Care helps ensure your paint is managed responsibly and kept out of landfills. Drop off your cans for free at one of more than 175 conveniently located drop-off sites across Oregon. To find a drop-off site near you, visit paintcare.org. That's paintcare.org. One night on the coast? We can do better. Try two. With exclusive lodging deals for the month of May, your quick trip just turned into a real getaway in Newport, Oregon. From free nights at the Louie to 15% off stays across town, going home early is no longer the plan. Add in tide pools, wide open ocean views, and fresh, salty air, and you might just forget what day it is. And while you're in Newport, you can explore the Oregon Coast Aquarium and their new Amazon Rainforest exhibit, or head to Oregon's tallest lighthouse, Yaquina Head Lighthouse, for sweeping views. Visit Newport this May and unlock your lodging discounts at discovernewport.com/spring. That's discovernewport.com/spring. So I'm actually taking advantage of the fact that Sophie is on the show today by sharing an update to one of the stories she shared on our show last week. Home Forward CEO Ivory Matthews spent more than $100,000 over the past 3 years traveling to housing conferences and networking events across the country. Home Forward is Portland's housing authority. They're supposed to be helping our most vulnerable secure affordable housing and also offer rent assistance. It's mainly federally funded, but it's kind of a big deal that even as the federal government continues to cut funding for public housing, their Portland CEO is out on Instagram riding horses on the beach on the public's dime under the guise of attending work-related conferences. Now, we can't get into all those details again, but if you're curious, Sophie did talk us through that last Friday, April 17th. And the latest installment of Sophie's deep dive into Home Forward's mismanagement is that they can't provide any details about its CEO's attendance of a captive insurance conference, in Hawaii in October 2024. Sophie, are you able to give us a little more on this update, like why this is significant?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it didn't really make sense to us why she was there. I couldn't find a housing conference that lined up with those dates, but she later said that she had been attending a captive insurance council, and captive insurance is just a type of self-insurance that some agencies use, including Home Forward. So that's not, not dissimilar, like that's whatever. But it was interesting that, for such a small thing and kind of this agency's, operation, she said she was going to a 4-day conference in Hawaii for it. She was there for 7 days. She truncated it from a 4-day conference to a 3-day conference, and she was in Hawaii for 6 nights, 7 days. So we kind of just got curious about Hawaii because I had, seen all these pictures from her trip, like hundreds of pictures of her and family members riding horseback on the beach and visiting local farms and plantations and visiting, canyons. And it just seemed like, and there were 0 posts from the conference. And she always posts about her conference travels. Like she is always in conference rooms and she's always posing with other housing leaders. And like, she really, she markets that a lot, her networking stuff. So we just started asking some questions about, why she was there and more about this conference. And, we asked for details about, can you share specific events at the conference she went to? Can you share her itinerary? Like, there's got to be something.
Right.
And can you share any notes that she took during that conference that she, provided to the agency or other executives or the board or really anything anything to show, you know, what she learned from that conference. And Home Forward just couldn't give us anything. And I pressed him again, and I said, you know, just any proof of attendance would be great, and still just nothing. It's been crickets. So, you know, Ivory said in a statement, I don't have it in front of me, but she basically kind of reiterated in her statement what captive insurance was, which was not her question. We understand what it is. And then, you know, she says the forum was about XYZ, like trends and that sort of thing. But again, they couldn't provide really anything. And so we don't know, we cannot say definitively if she went or did not go. We don't know. And I can't say that. But what I can say is that if she did go, you know, they have not provided anything about what she learned. And, you know, a big defense of her travel has been, well, I took lessons from the conferences that I went to and I applied them back to Home Forward. And, you know, when we're asking questions about, okay, how did you apply lessons from that conference to Home Forward, we're not getting anything.
So super crazily, this conference, I believe, is also the same one that was attended by those Washington County officials that we reported on last year who like went to a captive insurance conference, and we also had to figure out like, what's the captive insurance conference? I don't know if it was exactly the same days, so but anyway,
yeah,
my boss Jamie Goldberg covered this last year. It was wild.
But they were like in sewer or water and sewer, correct?
Yeah, but they'd created this like, and Sophie can probably explain it better. They'd created this like captive insurance, self-insurance thing. I don't even fully understand it. I've read the stories, but I'm still like, I don't really know what that is.
It's super wonky. And Jamie's coverage actually, like when I started figuring out that like Home Forward was doing this captive insurance thing, I actually leaned a lot on like Jamie's explanation of it. Cause I was like, what the hell is that? I was trying to do my own research and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. Basically, it's a type of self-insurance that like you kind of have a broker, and these brokers are like really large broker companies, I guess, and some of them, and they kind of recommend like, here's where you should set up your LLC. There's certain states, there's like 5 or 6 states that are known for just having like good regulations and just making it easier to set up one of these self-insurance LLCs.
And like very nice beaches and palm trees also seems to be like a key element.
But like, why do we need...
Yeah, that's a fair question. Basically, like if you're not self-insured, Home Forward says they've had increased premiums every year. Like they've really struggled to keep their insurance costs like not volatile. And they've said, and this is, you know, I think this is fairly back-upable, that, you know, captive insurance in general for some of these agencies, there is reason to switch to self-insurance because it can keep your costs lower. I think the bigger question is, okay, why are these agencies, when there are like 5 other states that are sort of ranked as like the friendliest states to domicile your insurance company in, like why are they going to Hawaii? You know, the other ones are like Vermont, Utah, Arizona, like I love Vermont. My family's from Vermont, but it's not Hawaii, you know?
Yeah.
And so we did ask the board, and when the Oregonian was looking into the Clean Water Services Board, they posed this question to them. They said, why did you domicile in Hawaii? And the board actually went back and said, okay, we're actually going to switch to Arizona. I sort of posed that same question to Home Forward, and they were like, we need more time to think about this.
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I actually have a note here from a listener who responded to your appearance on the show last Friday. And they wrote, hey, daily listener of the show, regarding the CEO of Home Forward coverage from 417, honestly, really upsetting to hear. As a dialysis social worker, I have run into situations very recently where I try to help my patients get rental assistance. Side note, the amount of local resources that don't have funding for rental assistance right now is staggeringly terrifying. I recently called Home Forward when trying to make sure I filled out the correct form for people with life-threatening disabilities like kidney failure to essentially get medical priority on the Home Forward waitlist. And the Home Forward worker literally told me that I could fill that out with my patient if I wanted to, but it doesn't actually matter because they haven't pulled from the waitlist in a year and probably won't for at least another year. So essentially a big middle finger to those on the waitlist and an additional middle finger for those who are chronically ill or disabled. I can't imagine how anyone could not feel sick about this, especially the leader of the organization, and then continue flaunting your vacations while people are losing their housing or maybe not ever going to get off the waitlist because they may pass away before their names make it to the top. Absurd behavior. Gaining expertise means absolute shit if nothing changes at home. Anyway, thanks for listening to my tangent and for the content. Thank you for writing in, anonymous listener, and also thank you for the service you're providing our community. I can't imagine being a dialysis social worker post-Reagan public social services. You deserve to be knighted. But yeah, like, I just want you to know that story really caught on to some of our listeners. Like, it's just mind-boggling what's going on here. If you guys have interest in learning more about Home Forward and how it's being managed, this isn't the only story that Sophie has uncovered. She has done a series, so I would definitely check it out. We're going to link to some of that in our show notes. But thanks so much, Sophie, for keeping on that. Let's take a quick break here, and when we come back, Sophie's going to tell us where the city council is with this ban on law enforcement masking up. The city of Tualatin wants you to know that they have a lot going on this summer, like the Blender Dash, Tualatin's craziest fun run for kids ages 5 to 15, happening June 6th. Think color, foam, mud, obstacles, even zombies. It's messy, it's wild, it's unforgettable. They're gonna love it. Then swing back on Saturday, July 11th for Viva Tualatin, a celebration of arts and culture the whole family will love. Only 12 miles away, Tualatin is also home to more than 200 acres of parks, trails, and natural areas, perfect for exploring, playing, and soaking up the outdoors all year long. Like, have you been to the Tualatin River? It's a designated national water trail with more than 38 miles of swimmable, fishable, paddleable, picnic-adjacentable waterway with easy access docks and ramps. Plan your visit today at tualatinoregon.gov. That's tualatinoregon.gov. So, Sophie, what's going on? I know that this was a very important, at one point, an important piece of policy to pass, and it seems like it's stagnated.
Yeah, so Councillor Samir Kanal has been working on a City of Portland masking ban since like August, September. So for over 7 months now. And he has just not been able to move it. And that's for a number of reasons. I mean, I think the public safety sector within the city staff have basically said this isn't workable. They've taken issue with a lot of different pieces of the policy. It's a little unclear to me, like, how much of their issue has been it wasn't like a well-vetted policy and there would be real implementation issues and costs associated with it versus, you know, the police bureau just not wanting to do something that a counselor who's historically been critical of the police wants them to do. But what I focused on in this story is really a disagreement between Councillor Kanal and the Portland Police Association, which is the union that represents all sworn police officers at Portland. So the police union is basically saying the changes that Councillor Kanal is seeking to make in this ordinance must legally, by state law, be bargained before the ordinance is passed. And Councillor Kanal is saying that's not right. The council can pass this ordinance, and then we can bargain after. The union can bargain with the city over these changes after. So it's a very fundamental disagreement about legally what is allowed. And the union is not budging on their stance of their legal interpretation, and neither is Councillor Kanal. So the latest is that Councillor Kanal, well, 4 of his colleagues actually have basically, there's a mechanism by which 4 councillors, even if a policy has not made it out of a committee, hasn't been voted on by a committee and sent to the full council, they can basically circumvent that process and send it directly to the full council if 4 councillors agree. And so 4 councillors did agree, not including Councillor Kanal, because I think it has to be 4 other than the chief sponsor. So the full council will actually hear the policy later this month. The police union is very upset about this.
Sorry, I'm just so confused as to why they're so upset about, and basically the policy is hey, if you are doing your job, you can't hide your face.
Yes, so that's fair.
Because Portland police don't hide their face.
Correct.
And that's the other thing. Lillian, thank you so much, because I thought this whole thing, I'm also just confused that Kanal and the police department are arguing about this, because I was I thought this was about ICE.
I did too.
So let me back up a little bit. This is, maybe I didn't explain sort of the environment very well. So,
okay.
Of course, the issue with masked officers is largely about ICE terrorizing the city, and especially at the Macadam ICE facility, they're masked, they're sometimes treating protesters really horribly. And of course that there was a lot of noise around that 3 or 4 months ago when Trump, tried to deploy the National Guard. But the state legislature actually passed a law that says Every city in Oregon has to pass a rule that basically bans law enforcement officers from wearing a mask. It's kind of a blanket ban. It's very basic, but you're right. Like, the police bureau has pointed this out. They're like, our officers don't wear masks. It's very rare that someone impersonates a Portland police officer. Like, why are you? And they were like, we're also going to comply with the state law because we have to comply with the state law. So we are basically going to like put out a rule in the coming months to say, yeah, our law enforcement officers aren't allowed to wear masks, and they kind of don't already. But I think what is at issue here is Councillor Canal is saying, great, the state law is here. The city has to comply within 180 days. We could the police bureau could just put out a basic rule. He says that law is just a floor. We want to go above and beyond. So there are some things that Councillor Canal's ordinance includes that are a little bit like stricter in some ways. They just like go beyond the scope of the state law. So one of those is that the policy that he's trying to pass would actually apply to also federal officers, and it would apply to like Gresham police. Basically any law enforcement officer that is in Portland, this ban would apply to. The police bureau says you can't enforce that against federal agents. You can't enforce that against necessarily other jurisdictions. Canal's ban really goes further, though, in that it says Portland police officers, it would be their duty to interfere if another agency
that's
wasn't
why they're
complying.
Upset. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
we got it there.
Now we got it. Because
Sorry,
Sophie,
it took me 7 minutes to get there, but
no,
I did get to the punchline.
Okay. Because I was like, you know what? Why does I'm sure Lillian, same thought, like, why do they care if this law isn't going to work? If I were the police, I'd just be like, all right, signing it off, Canal, good luck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they're like, and you have to enforce it, I'd be like, now listen here, buddy.
Yeah, so basically
Totally.
Portland police officers, this ordinance would give them the agency to demand like identification and, a bunch of other information from other law enforcement officers if they look suspect.
Would it give them the agency to do that, or it would require that they do it?
That is a little unclear.
Okay.
That is a really good question, because in Canal's sort of like flyer about this, and I've tried to understand, like, okay, is it a requirement or is it the agency? Because those are obviously very different things.
Very different.
I think it would basically be like, it is our expectation that you do this. But you're right. I don't know if it would be like codified as like, you must, or else you're going to get in trouble.
Because that would be the expectation that you do it. That would be like, you, Portland police officer, we're requiring you to go up to a masked and armed federal officer and ask for their identification. I mean...
Yes. Might be
It
problems.
would be nice, but also
It's just a really big ask, because...
the feds have authority over the feds trump local legend. Have we not seen one Coen Brothers film? Have we not seen any movies? We know once the feds go in, the local police are like, well, fuck. There goes our investigation, and they go back, and then they usually solve the case, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's in every mystery book ever.
We know
I will
this.
say, the police union has insisted, when I've said, what specific piece of the ban do you guys not like? The president of the police union, Aaron Schmautz, has insisted that it has nothing to do with the content of it. It has everything to do with process. He says, if they pass this would violate state bargaining law. I think there has to be something about the substance of it that is rubbing them the wrong way, because the police union really supported the state law. So there has to be something about Canal's ordinance that is rubbing them the wrong way. And I have my guesses, but I will say the police union says it's just about substance.
Well,
Okay,
what
fair.
are your guesses? Sophie, can you give
This
us your
piece.
guess?
Well, yeah.
It's-
and I think it's
this
a
piece,
somewhat
yeah.
educated guess, but I'm sure the police union would not agree with my assessment. But I think asking officers to intervene is like, it's a real, that is a big ask. And I know Councillor Canal says he's worked extensively with the public safety service area. He's on like his 8th draft of this ordinance. So maybe they've like figured something out in the past couple weeks to kind of soften that language. I'm not totally sure, but I think it's going to be a very interesting discussion on the council about this, because I know the union and the public safety area, I think they're going to kind of come out hard on this.
Yeah. I mean, again, so it would be so nice if like our local police was able to hold other law enforcement accountable, but the reality of the situation of what is available to them is just, man. So I guess we're just going to keep hearing on this. I hope that this isn't like a dead horse situation where Canal is able to walk away if a way out isn't seen. To be honest, I'm just confused as to why the police department doesn't just say that and just go, hey, we can't enforce this. And it's not, because to me, I feel like that's reasonable. I don't understand
I think
the point.
They have said it. They have said that.
Yeah. I don't understand why we're arguing here then. Not you. I mean, just like the back and forth.
That statement could be applied to a lot of what's happened with city council in the last year and a half. Like, but why are we arguing about this point? Everyone seems to sort of agree with, except they're saying the other person sitting next to them is saying it the wrong way. So that'll be interesting to watch in the budget conversations. I see Sophie nodding. I'm not like way out in left field saying that, right? Like there's
not at all. No, that's right.
Yeah. So it's just an observation. It's not even an opinion. It's just straight up what is happening if you watch these meetings.
Oh, man, I can't wait for that. Before we head out, we have some shout outs from members of our Portland Neighbors program. That was the program I was trying to get everyone to join earlier this show. I don't know if you heard my awesome pitch at the top. One of the perks of being a paying member of CityCast Portland is the opportunity to shout out a local business or organization that you love. Sophie, you're going to actually help me. You're going to help kick us off.
Yeah, sure. I have one here from listener Nick C, who says, Red E Coffee on Killingsworth, a simple neighborhood staple with local art and good house-roasted coffee. The owners and their dog Osho are the best.
Oh, that's so cute.
I must say, I do love a good coffee shop dog, or cat, or rabbit, what have you.
Yeah. There's been rabbits? I've not seen a coffee shop rabbit.
No, but I'm thinking that it would be nice if there were a rabbit.
You're manifesting it. I get it. Okay.
That's right. I put it on my vision board.
Here's one from Hannah W. that says, Oregon Humane Society is looking for fosters for dogs and cats to survive and be adoptable. Registering and training takes less than 2 hours. That's good to know, especially since we're coming to like cat season, aren't we? Like kitten season?
Like when they have kittens?
What?
Yeah, like, I feel like spring is like when everyone, like, there's always puppies and kittens.
Okay, I guess that's kitten season.
Kitten season.
Cat season.
God, look it up.
I don't think that's how reproduction works.
Lillian, that's how that works.
Lillian is totally right. At first, Claudia, I totally believed you that, like, cats only have kittens in the spring.
Listen here, kitten season's a thing.
I mean, it's like a thing in the wild. I don't know. It's like a thing in people's living rooms.
All right, so shout out to Nick and Hannah.
I feel like an idiot right now.
Shout out to Nick and Hannah. And a special thank you to Foss C and Jennifer C for becoming CityCast Portland neighbors this week. When you join as a Portland neighbor, we'd also be happy to read your shout outs of places that you love in Portland, alongside of a bunch of other perks like ad-free listening, member-only events, all the cool stuff I talked about at the top. And if you join today, we're going to send you one of those custom-made Portland pennants to put on your wall. Join at membership.citycast.fm. That's membership.citycast.fm. You guys, it's always a pleasure. I love you two together so much. Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Claudia.
Thanks for having us.
See, that was sultry. A little sultry.
Thanks,
Sophie.
Claudia.
Thanks. I was like,
Claudia.
me?
You have to have a little bit more mucus in your throat for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll work on it.
I've always wanted
the
the sultry voice.
Yeah.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening. Our podcast production team this week was John Atariani, Julia Fiorioni, Rachel Monahan, Jesse Wiza, Lizzie Goldsmith, and myself. Original music by Jenny Conley and Steven Drizos. Additional music by All the Kimonos. Our ad music is by Sven Lindvall and Sarah the Instrumentalist from Epidemic Sounds via Getty Images. We'll be back Monday morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's. Or at the Duckworth Dock, because that's where Sophie hangs out.
Or at camp drop-off.
Or at camp drop-off. The most fun place in this summer.